Welcome everybody into the Auto Rhythm Fantasy Studios. I'm your host Jamie, and I got my co-host Eli on the other side. Welcome into another stream, another episode. We are actually going to dive into the transfer portals of the running backs on the move tonight. So jump in our chat, join us, and welcome on into Auto Rhythm Fantasy.
Yeah. Right. Thirsty Thursday. I swear it's not mixed with anything, but I do got some big blue 40 piss juice. Hut. Gotta hydrate.
Sweet Jesus.
Sweet Jesus is right. But as Jay was giving you all the information there, thanks for tuning in tonight. Gonna be a lot of fun, hopefully. Talk some transfer running backs. But if you want to go back and watch any of the archive stuff, it's all over on YouTube, Spotify, a bunch of different places you can find us. The X, get our thoughts on things. What about that Discord, Jay?
Yes, our Discord is down in the description below. So if you want to do some mock drafts with us or talk rookie prospects, I mean, we have quite a few. I mean, if you're a card collector, you can join us on over there too, and show us what you got in the the wax hobby card. Yeah, and we're doing a March Madness bracket too. So we have a March Madness bracket or channel down there. So if you want to actually join us, I got that in our Discord too as well. It's all on Sleeper. So I mean, have a little fun. March Madness is coming around the corner, so why not?
Yeah, Jay was watching a little college basketball. He was sending me some video clips on the phone and telling me to tune in. And so Jay's already doing tournament prep. I should probably ramp mine up as well. Conference tournaments are right around the corner here. Setting seeds. I know Auburn's been kicking ass this year. They've been pretty much number one front to back. So we'll see what they can do. But yeah, should be an interesting tournament, and it's less than a month away. Can't wait.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, don't forget to follow us on Spotify, Apple, Instagram. Our is Algorithm Fantasy Sports on the IG, and then we got Mr. What else? Forgot. Yeah, just follow all those few little social media sites there, if you like.
Oh, they'll like it, all right. They'll like it. They'll like it. They'll subscribe it, and then maybe they can have some of this big blue piss juice, big blue 40 hot.
Oh my God!
Damn it!
Hey, brother.
Yeah, hey, brother.
Yeah, no. Like I said, this is the good time for us, the two of us. In our personal lives, we've been had a rough go the last couple months. So, self-admittedly, so this is always fun for us. So we can't wait to get into some of the transfer running backs. But first, we're gonna start off.
Yeah,
why the hell not with some of the big headlines. You have any thoughts on the playoffs? I think the SEC and the Big Ten, they weren't too happy. Let's just put it that way. They weren't too happy that South Carolina, Alabama, some of the programs like that got left out of the 12-team playoffs. So I think they're trying to expand it / just go with like a straight seeding, just with based on the final rankings, like after the conference championship games and all that good stuff. Yeah, you have any thoughts on it? Well, we knew this was going to happen, right?
Like yeah.
It's Arizona State getting buys, and
I honestly, what I think they should do is, I think instead of doing this little 14 thing or 12, they should have just went straight to 16, and then they could have been murked this right out. I mean, that's one of the things. I think
Jay,
they would have should have.
I mean, like,
yeah,
you might as well cut out the bullshit. We know inevitably they're going to a goddamn 16-team playoff. That will happen.
Yeah, for sure. For me, I mean, it was all right. I mean, for us to think about, it's for me. I think, they should, think about who they play, not more of what their ranks are. What you have to, because I mean, look at what the Ducks did in Oregon. They went undefeated. Went in. They got a first round bye. Boom, done. They'd even advance. So I mean, so that part, I think there should be teams that should have a first round bye. The Ducks, they should have. I mean, honestly, the Ducks was piss poor showing. That's my thoughts on that. But I think teams that I'm not sure how to really put teams how to kind of really think about that for the teams for a first round, but kind of bye. I think team maybe well conferences that I think that's kind of a conference. Here's what they should do. Conference champions, whoever wins their conference championship are guaranteed a spot in the playoffs, no matter what.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That needs to stay like that. Well, I mean, Boise was somewhat competitive with Penn State, so but and Arizona State obviously held their own against Texas. They could have easily won that game. And it wasn't even so. It really wasn't even the conference championship, the champions that the ones that got the bye that really shit the bed. It was teams like Indiana, SMU, teams like that were questionably in the field. So you definitely conference championship, and I think that should be expanded too. Once it's 16 teams, you're automatically in if you're even the Mountain West champ. I think it's instead of just the Big Five, once the Pac-12 kind of expands again, the Pac-12 will be back to being a Power Five again. But I think that should be expanded, to 6 teams or maybe 8. We'll see about the AAC, see about the Mountain West. But yeah, and then maybe you have 6 to 8, and then either 8 to 10 at large. So I think that'd be the best way to go about it. And then it's like the NCAA. It's like a mini version of the NCAA tournament, like we were just talking about. It's a scaled down football version of it. So I think that would work. Buys, yeah, definitely by seeding. I think they experimented this year. And like I said, Boise and Arizona State did well, but I think, yeah, definitely if Georgia's number 1, if Clemson's 2, if Texas is 3, if, and so on. So then it should be seeded like that, not, the 17th ranked team in the country being the 3 seed or something. That shouldn't happen.
Yeah, for sure. I think it'd be a little bit there, some of the weaker teams that get into, the playoffs being able, kind of working. It's kind of like a little quest. You're traveling through the trees or whatever, and then you have to get to the kingdom to get the mushroom at the end or whatever hell you want to
Sounds like
call
Mario.
I mean, that's the whole point of the journey. It's just like the NFL playoffs too. I mean, you got, the teams that deserve to have the first round bye are the ones that should get it. And then the teams that, are mediocre, kind of that, 500 par team, are the ones that should be the ones working toward the greatest show of them all.
Right. No, I think we totally agree on that. Second big topic of the day was the Texas Longhorns kind of skipping their spring game. And I think Nebraska, you got a bunch of Nebraska gear yourself. You're decked out in Nebraska red.
Damn right.
Yeah. Matt Rule will be proud. So, with Texas, and they're going to more of a traditional like NFL OTA, it sounds like. And I think it's a mix because there's some teams that are keeping the spring game, some of the bigger programs, there's some that are going away from it. So I don't know if it's a mixed bag. Obviously, Steve Sarkisian, he wasn't a head coach in the NFL, but he coached as an offensive coordinator, in the NFL. So he's been at the NFL level. Matt Rule was a head coach with the Panthers. So some of these, Nebraska, Texas, they have a lot of, NFL influence in how they operate. I'm guessing Belichick in UNC. I'm guessing Belichick probably won't do a spring game, programs like that. I don't know. Do you see this kind of being a trend? Like eventually everything will just be OTAs. Everything will be, showcase OTAs instead of an actual spring game. As many games as these teams are playing now, Jay. If you're a top program, you play your 12 regular season games. Let's say a conference championship game, that's 13. And then let's say you got to win 3 or 4 playoff games. That's 15 or 16 games. That's basically an NFL schedule.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, with these kids getting paid and stuff like that, it should be, pretty. I think it would cause some fuss, but if they would, maybe do 14 games, and try, I think that would be just kind of fun, or just add more for us as fantasy guys, just to be more deep dive into a lot of the college teams, and us trying to push for a fantasy championship ourselves too as well. And I mean, I would love to have more, college football. I mean, these little bowl games, they're kind of fun, they're kind of cool and whatnot. But us as fantasy guys, we're like, hey, more. We want some more college stuff. It's kind of the same way with the NFL when people are like, when the NFL went to like the whatever, if they're going to 6 or was it 17 or 18 games now, or they're thinking about doing an 18th game, just little things like that. But us as fantasy guys, like, oh hell yeah! I mean, that just means more football. I mean, that's it. But from what I heard, a lot of people are not doing the kind of the spring games only because colleges can try to snipe away players to come to another team. So it's kind of like a scouting thing, which is why, from kind of what I heard, anyways. They don't want to, these other colleges coming in watching and ooh, like, hey, that guy's good. Let's give him this X amount of money to, you know, snake him away from a team or something like that. So I think that's kind of the gist of it too, a little bit from the grapevine, anyways.
No, that could very well be it. We're obviously not in on the know. We don't have any insider information about this. We're just giving our thoughts. But yeah, that's definitely logical. It's and I don't care either way. I know ESPN loved that shit for years, like ESPNU and ESPN, all these different ESPN Deportes. They put on these damn random games and for content and shit. So yeah, I mean it's. They'll have to cover college a different way during the spring and summer. I feel, I think this is kind of a thing of the past. Like, you got to move forward. So I'm fine with it. It doesn't affect me. I wasn't paying attention to the Alabama spring game, anyways. So.
I mean, I think the only thing about some of those spring games is you get more you get to see who's the possible front runner for
to win a position battle. Yeah, I can see.
Yeah.
If it's close, if it's two running backs that are head to head, or a transfer back that came in, and maybe the second string guy from the previous years, him and the transfer, portal guy are going to fight it out. So no, I see where you're coming from too.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's gonna be kind of like a couple guys that we're going to talk about later on too. But they transferred. They snaked. Virginia snaked up a couple running backs in the transfer portal here, and so it's kind of like, all right, who's going to win the battle out of this one here? So it's just kind of one of those things where a spring game could kind of determine which guy out of that transfer portal could be the lead guy, and that's the guy you're going to be drafting here. Even if you're doing an early startup or later this year when college football does come back. But it's just one of those things. Kind of look at going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? If you haven't done so, like and subscribe. Put in your comments. If you're following the stream here, helps us, helps the flow of the show. If you want to put in any insight of your own, if you have any thoughts on these two topics, you bring them up later too. This will be posted on YouTube. You can comment below, and if you have any thoughts, so. Please do that. You want to talk about some running backs, Jay?
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's talk about some transfer running backs. Here we go. So we're gonna do this I want to start with the free agent guys, because these are the guys that are still out there. Like, if your program, whoever the hell it may be, your program needs a back, these are the shiniest cars in the lot. So and I'll see if Jay has any thoughts on any of these guys. Obviously, Montana State's been killing it at the FCS level. So if you've been following them, Humphrey was one of the best players in FCS last year, and so on. A couple of these other guys, Curtis from Lafayette as well. But we'll start Scottry Humphrey from Montana State. I'm going to run over his stats quick here. Jay had over 1,300 yards, almost 1,400 last year. 7 yards a pop, 16 touchdowns. And he also had, so his big game of the year was against Idaho State, had 27 carries, 159 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So that would kind of be his signature game with Montana State. Like I said, they've been in the mix. They've been in the mix as one of the top teams in FCS the last few years. So Humphrey, I would put at number 1. And overall with running backs, he's up there. He's up there with a bunch of these portal guys. The regular guys we remember. He's just a little bit below Mekhi Hughes, obviously the big transfer from Tulane to Oregon. So I don't know. You see any of Humphrey at Montana State at all? Playing NDSU or SDSU or any of the other top FCS programs, Sac State.
I actually didn't. I tried to catch as much FCS ball as I could because I know every once in a while, some of these FCS, college guys end up actually making it, get invited to one of these, senior bowls or, the East and West Shrine Bowl sometimes, so sometimes, these smaller schools kind of go undetected sometimes, not always, but, so other than that, I tried watching a little bit of Montana State the last couple of years. I know they've been having a decent team, but I just haven't really fully jumped into them. But as far as I know, this kid was actually the top, he was top 5 in rushing over 1,300 some odd yards, 16 some odd touchdowns. So I mean, he had the bulk of the carries in a D1 school.
Yeah, so he proved to me he can be a bell cow running back, a decent size, 5'11", 210. Kind of little light, but good running back size, especially at the collegiate level. And he's only a junior. He's only going to be going into his junior year, so you're going to get a couple years of eligibility out of him. I like that a lot, especially if you're a low end Power 5 school. What example, like a Boston College or a place like that. I think you should be doing everything in your power to try to bring Humphrey in and pay this man for a couple years and have him blow up for you.
I mean, it's so for small schools, maybe a Liberty or a game.
Oh yeah. Or just if you want to go to like Jay was saying, the G5 schools. Yeah, Liberty definitely. They could use. I think Cooley transferred or graduated.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. So they're going to
need a replacement. Yeah, they'll need a replacement for Cooley. Yeah, Liberty, I think, would be a perfect landing spot.
Or the Owls. I mean, the Owls. I mean, they had it. That's another team.
Florida Atlantic.
Bulls. Yeah, Florida Atlantic. Yeah, I mean, that's the one guy. He left there. We'll talk about him later on. I mean, just some of these smaller schools. That need somebody like that.
Yeah, and they need to replenish their stock too. Like these bigger schools, they're getting some of these G5 low end Power 5 guys to come to Ohio State, Oregon. Well, then that goes the same way for a Liberty or a Florida Atlantic or program like that that's trying to bring somebody up from the FCS level. Number 2, TJ Harden. We obviously know UCLA, Big Ten school, so he's available. What I like about him is he's 6'2", 220, and he caught 40 balls last year, 368 yards, 1 touchdown. I guess his signature game would have been Iowa, 20 carries, 125 yards, caught 2 balls. That would have been his best game of the year. So I think TJ Harden's more of a complimentary back. I think he'd work better in a 2-back system, kind of like what Penn State's been doing and Ohio State, even Michigan with Edwards and who am I thinking of? Mullings from last year.
Mullings,
in a system like that, I think Harden would be a nice receiving back, and he's got good size too. Do you see any of Harden?
No, actually, I did not see some. So some of these guys I might seen, some of them I haven't.
Fair enough. And we're introducing, I think, a lot of these guys to even ourselves. I think we're like, oh shit, this guy was in the portal. I tried to stay away from random, like rando ass, he was Alabama's 4th-string running back and had 12 carries for 54 yards. Like that's irrelevant to me. I want you to at least prove at even the FCS level that you were carrying the rock a couple hundred times. You were putting up decent stats, or you could serve a role like Harden, catch a lot of passes out of the backfield. Number 3, Richmond's Zach Palmer-Smith. Jay, he had over 1,400 yards rushing last year, 11 touchdowns. Didn't do much in the receiving game, only caught 8 balls. But I'll put Zach Palmer-Smith at number 3. Richmond is obviously an FCS program as well. So, there's a couple FCS guys here. Looking to make the jump. I think that's why they entered the portal. They want to get to the next level to get eyes on them for future NFL prospects. Go down. Let's see. Kenyon Clay. Kenyon. It sounds like KK Clay. It put him at number 4.
Okay, gotcha. Yep. So Palmer Smith was the 6th overall top rusher last year.
Oh, so you got some thoughts. All right.
Yeah. I mean, he did a little. He 263 carries, 13 touchdowns, which is, when you think about it, when these small, so a lot of these small schools, they can rack up these, big numbers, touchdowns and stuff like that, because it's nothing like the actual, FBS, teams and stuff like that, where talent's a little bit bigger, big defenses are a little bit harsher and stuff like that. So I mean, these are just kind of more of a par sub teams that it's where you can rack up these big numbers. I mean, I'll just look in. There was two Montana State players with 1,000 some odd yards. I'm like, what? No way. Two guys with over 1,000 yards rushing.
Yeah, no, that was their signature. Montana State. That's how they got to where they were. And they're probably like, well, you want to leave? We'll just roll with the other guy. He'll be our feature for 2025. But yeah, Southern Miss, Kenyon Clay, number 4. Didn't have a lot of rushing yards. Only had 387 rushing yards. Averaged about 4.5 roughly a carry. So nothing impressive there. 7 rushing touchdowns. What I like about him though is he's an underclassman. Like he's a guy that could grow over the course of time. And Southern Miss is they've been missing. They've been Southern missing a lot. I think if he jumped up, if he jumped up to maybe a Kansas, even like a backup.
Sweet Jesus.
Sweet Jesus, yeah, I'm willing this into existence, baby. Maybe as a backup at a Kansas or Boston College. Mention them. Some low end Power 5 school. I think that'd be a nice landing spot for Clay. It gets slim pickings. I think honestly, the first 3 guys are the top. They're the top free agents. Those are the top of the top. And then number 5, you know what? I put Jamar Curtis from Lafayette. Ooh.
Must be another smaller school guy.
He is. But this guy, he's also proven. I could have put him above Clay. I should have, honestly, because he's had 2 back-to-back years. Jay, he's averaged basically 1,300 yards and like 16 rushing touchdowns the last 2 years. Like that's his average. Yeah, that's his average. Like he had 1 year he had pretty over 1,300, and another year he had like right around 1,400. Roughly 13 something, and then had 31 total touchdowns rushing the last couple years. And what I like is he caught some passes too. He averaged about 25 receptions and 200 yards. So he put up some not real nice numbers at Lafayette. I know it's an FCS program. I totally get it. But if he made the jump as well to even like we mentioned, Liberty, James Madison, program like that could use the upgrade. I think Jamar Curtis could do pretty damn well. And he's versatile. Like if you need him to catch passes, he can. He caught average at 25 the last 2 years. Need him to rush the rock, handle it. Over average 1,300 yards the last 2 years, and he can score a lot of touchdowns too. So very very impressive. I like these 5 as the the guys that are still out there in the portal.
Yeah, my other thought here too was, just to think about like some of these, D1 schools and these kids that are rushing for, almost 1,500 some odd 100 yard or 1,500 yards, give or take, per season. And it's kind of like, well, hey, why don't some of these kids maybe go jump into, the AAC or no, yeah, AAC or no, which one was it? Yeah. All-American Conference or the athletic conference, sorry. Like the teams like we were talking about over there, the Bulls and all those, those other teams over there. Green, Tulane, Temple, the Owls, the Rice Owls, Memphis Tigers. I mean, teams like that are, where you can kind of actually make a name for yourself, like the Memphis Tigers. That's a kind of a breeding ground for running backs to coming out. We had a few running backs that came out of there. We had what's his name? Blake. We talked about a couple of years ago. It was the Memphis Tiger. It was undrafted free agent Yep, who went to Denver. So I mean, that's a nice breeding ground. Maybe Kentucky. That's another good another good place for some running backs too as well. So I mean, it's kind of an upgrade, but it's another.
I got something for these guys at the end if they stick around another probably 45 minutes. I got something for them at the end. Got a new Kentucky running back who might be wearing those same colors you were wearing last year. Jay, do you want me to get into some of the FCS guys making the jump to FBS or
Yeah,
do you have anything you want to put your graphic up or?
Oh no, we can let's hit up your next one
I
and
have
then
the floor.
Yeah.
I got some. What size is it? Oh, Elijah Craig. Go buy a bottle. It's good. I swear. I don't do the liquor stuff anymore, so I can't. Hence a lot of the personal issues have kind of followed me. I should have stayed what I was doing. Sometimes in life, you just stay what the fuck you're doing. Boom. But these guys didn't. They didn't stay with the program they were with. They wanted an upgrade. Totally get it. We all do at some point. So these are my top 5 FCS to FBS running backs. So these guys were at the subdivision last year, made the jump this year, and then these are the new teams. I put the graphics. Virginia, Michigan State, Georgia Tech, New Mexico, West Virginia. I'll start off with North Carolina Central's Jamari Taylor. Yes. He was the consensus number 1 FCS guy in the portal. No doubt. I think running back, quarterback, anybody in general. I think he would, to my opinion, based on his stat line, he should have been the number 1 guy if he wasn't. 1,146 rushing yards, 15 touchdowns, had 271 yards receiving. So I think he'll be competing. For the starting job. But who the hell does Virginia have? They haven't had anybody since they had Malik Washington. It says he's competing for the job. He's gonna win that outright. This guy's better than anything they've had probably since fucking Tiki Barber or something. I don't remember any Virginia damn running backs. But yeah, they had Malik Washington a couple years ago. He was a stud. Malachi Fields, the receiver last year, kind of shit the bed. He went from being an NFL prospect to being completely off the radar. Jamari Taylor, I put at number 1. Number 2, Jay, I put Sac State, a Sac State guy. I think he was actually the replacement for our boy. What the fuck am I thinking of? Arizona State. Arizona State. Who am I?
Cooley? For Cooley?
No, not Cooley. No, no. I was shooting blanks earlier. Now I'm drawing a blank. Damn it. White running back, Arizona State. Anyway, I think this guy was the successor to him as well. Elijah Tolliver, 958 rushing yards, 7 rushing touchdowns, and he had some nice receiving numbers too. Former Sac State player. Yeah, no, the hell? Yeah, Scattaboo. Thank you, Danny D. He comes through in the clutch. I'm blonde. It happens. I have a blonde moment. Boom. Thank you. No, but what I like about him, 38 receptions, 317 yards last year, 2 receiving touchdowns. So he's versatile. And I forgot to mention too, Taylor's a senior, as is Tolliver. So. But it's a nice pickup for Michigan State. They haven't really had a decent back since Kenneth Walker left a few years ago.
Yeah. I was going to say that. Yeah, it's been a few years. I mean, last year I know they struggled a little bit in the run game, and I know I didn't draft any Michigan State guys. I mean, I love Michigan, but I mean, I know they didn't. Hardly had anybody in that backfield that was worth the while.
They were off. Michigan State was awful last year. Awful. Yep. They need all the portal guys they can get.
5-7, and they, maybe are averaging, 115 yards per game. But I mean, that was 110th in the country, which not that special right now. So they need all the help. They need all the help they can get for this upcoming year. Let's see.
Is it Chile, the quarterback? He probably split. He probably split 2. Honestly, Michigan State is one of the rando teams. I don't think either of us really, pay attention to. They've just been awful since Walker left. Let's see, Georgia Tech. They picked up, Penn, an Ivy League guy. Ivy League. Side note: the Ivy League will actually be able to compete in the FCS playoffs. Yeah, they'll actually. Yeah,
Oh,
I know, right?
really?
Yeah, so it was like some academic. Yeah, it was like an academic thing for years where they wouldn't let them compete. In the
Jesus.
playoffs. Sweet Jesus. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So the Ivy League, they get to play, they get to play and pursue championships. So good for the Ivy League, good for Penn, but bad for Penn because they lost Malachi Hosley. This kid's I think he's undervalued here. I really do. He could have been on the undervalued list too that I had. Almost 1,200 yards rushing, 9 rushing touchdowns, caught 22 passes, 246 yards, 1 touchdown. Actually, that was actually 2023, but he showed that he can be versatile. I think he'd work best, in a 2-back system at Georgia Tech. But we'll see where he can do. Haynes, I'm not sure if Haynes King is coming back. Haynes King was a really good dual threat quarterback for Georgia Tech last year. He's the guy that kind of led them over Miami, that upset win they had over the Cam Ward and the boys. But Hosley.
They have Jamal Haynes too as well. That they're running back, almost 1,000 yards. 9 touchdowns.
Nice. I think Wind and Thunder. Have to come up with a good 2 tandem, especially if Georgia Tech has a good year. It slips my mind if Haynes King was going to come back. I don't know if he was.
I mean, if he does, he's going to have a nice weapon.
Nice backfield. I would.
And Eric Rivers, the small school transfer from FAU to Georgia Tech.
Georgia. If they can bring some of these guys back, and they did have a decent year. What they go like 7-5, in the ACC. That's respectable. Maybe Georgia Tech can have a. Kind of an under the radar, maybe an SMU kind of year, like, whoa, where the hell this or a Syracuse kind of year where it's like, damn, they won 8-9 games. Oh shit.
Yep, they were 5-3 in the ACC and went 7-6 overall.
So they must have lost the bowl game, but winning season, not bad at all. Number 4, Damon Bankston, who was at Weber State, another FCS guy, was at Weber State. Last year had over 1,100 yards rushing, 6 rushing touchdowns.
Ooh, West Virginia. Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh, yep. And at the last guy, in New Mexico, Dampier, the quarterback there, I think he's staying in school another year. Or I'm not sure if we'd have to do some. There's so many goddamn players. I'm not sure if Dampier, if he's transferred or if he's still at New Mexico State. Maybe Jay can look that up. Devin Dampier.
I think he's staying. I think from what I've seen, I think he's staying. So he I believe he's there.
Because this might give him a nice, it's a jump up. He's going up into a G5 school, but it could be an uptick for New Mexico. They played. I thought they played fairly well last year, respectable. And then we got the last team, Northern Iowa's Ty Edwards, who's a senior, so you're only going to get 1 year out of him. But last year at Northern Iowa had over 1,000 yards, 6 rushing touchdowns. This kid's a monster. He's like 6'4". So nice big back, maybe a goal line type back for West Virginia. Because they lost Donaldson to Ohio State, so need to replace him. Do you have any thoughts on any of these last 2 guys, Bankston or Ty Edwards?
Well, for me, I think they're going into a system where actually one of the guys from the Lobes is heading on out, and I believe that was I think that was that wasn't CJ Campbell. It was one of the guys who left there. I can't remember who. There was somebody I know he left that and then off to another team. But the Lobes are going to be needing some running back help for sure. I know they were kind of a big running school too as well. But I can't remember. Oh, it was Marriott, I think it was. The guy transferred from the them to the Wildcats down in Arizona. He was a transfer from the Lobes. But yeah, as far as I know, I don't.
Oh, I was gonna say, I looked it up quick. Dampier's coming back, and he's only 20 years old. I think the kid probably only a junior going into his junior year. I'm surprised they kept him. but giving him some extra firepower with Bankston there in the backfield. New Mexico could be a surprise team for sure.
Well, yeah, especially with the rushing upside, because I know a lot of us were high
Dampier
on
is one of the best fantasy running backs in probably the last couple of years, honestly.
Yep.
Or quarterback.
Yep.
What's up, Bubs? Let's crack it. I like the Popeye the Sailor Man icon photo there with the American flag. Do you want to get into some undervalued backs?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. So we did best available for basically free agency. We did impact FCS guys making the jump to FBS. Of this group though, I think Jamari Taylor, you're going to hear a lot about him. I think he's going to be Virginia's featured guy. So if there was anybody to hit on this top 5 for fantasy, I think it's going to be Taylor for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was going to look up quick too, because I was kind of curious too.
Let me him. All right. What do you got for me?
I'm still looking here. I think I'm trying to figure out which conference they're in. Drawing a blank.
New Mexico, the Mountain West.
Oh no, I was talking about West Virginia. Sorry.
Oh, Big 12.
Yep. I know they were somewhere. I'm just like, where in the hell are they? Because I know they. I remember Guire. He was their guy, and he bounced around a little bit here and there and whatnot. And Cowboys had him for a little bit, and then he was kind of bouncing around because he was a kind of a rusher too at that time too. So I was just kind of curious to see here. Oh, so he will replacing Jaheim White possibly. I don't know if he's a sophomore or not, but yep, sophomore. So there'll probably be a battle between Jaheim White and him, more than likely.
And I'll put that up one more time. Yeah. So Ty Edwards is going to have his work cut out for him trying to win that battle.
Yeah.
But yeah, Taylor would be like of all these for sure. If your draft is coming up, or if you and whatnot, I'm just waiting for another year of mediocre Gopher football. I don't know. Taylor's coming back. Both like Darius Taylor. So
see, I think they also snagged a Nebraska wide receiver from the Cornhuskers to the Gophers. So there might be some promise there. I know last year they were total garbage.
Dog shit. Yeah. You back up the Brinks truck a little bit, you could bring in better players. Let's just be honest. They got some money at the U of M.
I mean, the only guy you can probably trust is the running back back there.
Well, Bubs probably missed this. Well, here, I guess you got Taylor, so I mean your backfield's good enough as it is. I'd bring in a TJ Harden. I'd go, it'd be a Big 10 to Big 10 transfer. Bring in Harden. He can be your receiving back, or bring up one of these FCS guys. Yeah. So there. Yeah. Gophers. I don't know. I wouldn't totally write them off yet. I know the quarterback left, but he wasn't that good. I don't even know why the hell he was at the East West Shrine Bowl game. I'll be honest. I don't know what the hype about him was, but anyways, let's get into some undervalued transfer backs here. Ishmael Mahdi from Texas State. You big Texas State guy, Jay?
I don't know. Am I?
Maybe. Yeah, I want to see you. I want to see you repping some Texas State merch next time we're on. Anyways, so this
Sweet
kid
Jesus.
Sweet Jesus is right. This kid, he put up some good fantasy stats. I had him on one of my fantasy teams last year. Put up some really good stats. Arizona. I forget the kid's name, but he had a really good East West Shrine Bowl game. Ran for 97 yards, couple touchdowns.
That was Merritt.
Yeah, Merritt. Yeah, he was banged up all year, but I'm assuming that Mahdi's going to be replacing him. And these are more guys that were, a lot of these guys are FBS guys, so they could step in and be feature guys. So we're getting more into like the feature realm, guys that actually had good FBS fantasy numbers from last year, and they just transferred to a better opportunity. Let's say.
Yeah, although he had a couple hundred yards rushing, but I mean, kind of lacked the touchdown upside a little bit. But I mean, Amadi,
Jay, the touchdowns need to go up. I would say, yeah, if there's one, it's not terrible. I mean, he had over 1,300 yards rushing, 10 rushing touchdowns, had one receiving touchdown. Nice in the receiving game too. Had 20 catches, 275 yards. That was actually in 2023. Sorry, but he proved, the year before, in 2023, like, hey, I can catch, and then this year I proved, hey, I can tote the rock. Definitely touchdown numbers need to go up a little bit for him to take that next leap. Like, it needs to be, add a couple hundred more yards, maybe get up in the 1,500 yard range, and then get up in that 15, 16 touchdown range. And then he'll be more of a household college fantasy name, I would say. But I like Mahdi. I think he can be, I think he can be the feature guy at Arizona.
Yeah,
I think that'll
happen. Because I believe a couple of those guys are going to be gone. So, I mean, Arizona is a nice land and very nice landing spot.
They're cleaning out. They should get rid of Noah Fafita too. I know he's not. I know he ain't graduating and going to the NFL. Hell no, he was dog shit last year.
I got the perfect thing for that one.
Garbage goober, get out here and eat this garbage.
It's some Rick and Morty.
Yeah, I mean, I know for Arizona, they're going to have to after losing T-Mac and all them, they're going to be they're going to have to really
coverage bear.
Yeah.
Yep. Coverage bear. Bring it. You got to bring in some guys that with a little firepower. Number two, because Indiana, that I Kurt Cignetti building a nice little program there. I don't think they're going to repeat what they did last year. But Curtis Rourke going to the NFL. They lost a few of their other guys too, but Lee Beebe Jr. It was a running back at UAB last year. I remember him specifically from fantasy because he was on especially earlier in the year, he was a waiver guy that I would always be eyeing. Like, oh, he'd be a nice pickup, nice 1 week start kind of guy.
And you didn't even mention him. What the hell's wrong with you?
I think I did. I think I did 1 week though. I think he was in. I'd have to check the archive, which you can do. Oddly enough, if you go back on our YouTube channel or Spotify, go watch. Maybe I said it in October. Maybe I said it in November. I don't know. 885 rushing yards, 7 rushing touchdowns. Decent in the receiving game. Jay, he caught 30 passes, had another touchdown there. I guess his signature performance would have been, playing Rice. Had 16 carries, 161 yards, 2 touchdowns. So I don't know. I think Lee Beebe would be best in a committee, like in a 2-back system. I don't think he's a feature guy, but I think he can serve multiple roles, especially with what Indiana does. So I like the addition. I like the addition for sure.
Yeah, I mean, so some of these guys, you're at with lacking the touchdown upside. I think that's just going to be the main thing that we look at.
Yep, got to get the touchdowns up.
The guys like are going to be able to get those 100 some odd yards with possible touchdown upside without maybe losing that RB1 role kind of thing. I mean, if it's going to be a two-headed, it's kind of like the BYU. I mean, they had pretty much a two-headed monster down there. They had LJ Martin, and then they had the other guy too. So it was kind of like back and forth on which guy you really wanted.
Rapati.
Rapati. Yep. But I mean, Martin was kind of the lead guy, and Rapati had it was just as good as Martin. So I mean, it's just kind of one of those things.
And I think that could be the case with Indiana as well. And I I put BB a little higher than he maybe should be around 5, maybe an honorable mention kind of guy. But BB's only a junior. He's only going into his junior year, so you're going to get a couple years eligibility out of him. So he could be Indiana's back for a couple years. So I like the length of time. You have to consider that sometimes, because a lot of these guys are seniors when they transfer. It's their last year, their last opportunity to be seen, before the NFL draft, or your scouts kind of eye him a little more. So BB's only going to be going into his junior year. Number 3, Jay. And if you have any thoughts, stop me. Jump in, and anybody watching too, if you have any thoughts on any of these players, if you had them on fantasy or remember watching them on ESPN or CBS or whatever, chime in. You know what? I put number 3, Virginia Tech. I like the addition. They lost Tootin. Tootin's going to the NFL. So I think Braden Bennett could be a feature guy. I do. I think Braden Bennett could fill in and be the feature guy at Virginia Tech. Had a nice season at Coastal Carolina last year. nice mix. 781 yards. The yards need to go up with him. I think that's it's a little low point. It's not great with rushing yards, but he did have 11 rushing touchdowns, which is nice. He caught 25 balls, almost 200 yards receiving, couple touchdowns. So decent in the receiving game as well. But he's a sixth-year senior. I guess that would be the one knock on Bennett. You're only going to get 1 year with him. So did you? You had Bennett on your team, didn't you? Or you mentioned him on the waivers?
I had Tootin, I believe. I had Tootin in a smaller league. I snagged up Tootin, who was actually on a waiver wire and never looked back ever since I had him. But Virginia Tech's got some guys that they got in a transfer pool and or portal, I should say. And this might be a crowded backfield going into this upcoming season. Bennett might have his run for his money. And on the couple guys I'm going to mention when I pull up my graphic here pretty soon, there's going to be a couple of guys in that atmosphere.
Yeah, Xavier Brown. I was trying to remember. Tick, 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 McFly. Just trying to remember there. Bennett's going to have to beat out Xavier Brown. But I think
there's a couple other guys. There's
a couple other, Virginia Tech. Yeah, no, their depth is impressive. I will say, but I have faith in Bennett, and maybe we'll see in a couple months. We'll see if he gets the starting nod or if he's they kind of have a rotation going on. Number 4, I like the addition here of C.J. Donaldson. This boy's got some good size on him. Like 6'2", 238 size. He reminds me of remember Lendale White back in the day with USC? That's who, and the Titans. Lendale White is who this guy, he gives me strong Lendale White vibes. He was at West Virginia last year. He had 11 touchdowns, actually, in the last 2 years at West Virginia. So he had 11 rushing touchdowns in 2023 and in 2024. So I like that quite a bit. I think he'd be a nice goal line back for Ohio State, kind of giving them the Travian Henderson, not as skilled as Travian Henderson, but kind of giving him that same role where he's going to collect a lot of touchdowns because that's what he did at West Virginia, and he's going to have a better quarterback, better receivers, better offensive line. He's just going to have the best of everything at Ohio State. So I like C.J. Donaldson going over to Ohio State for fantasy purposes too, and that's the whole point of this. We're trying to find undervalued guys that you can maybe get some good value on in your drafts coming up. And then number 5, Jaden Nixon. I remember him from Western Michigan because I picked him up. Hell yes, I did. I remember talking about him a couple times on the waiver shows. I think Jay did as well. He had some damn good stats. 919 rushing yards, but 12 rushing touchdowns. He had one of the quietest 12 rushing touchdown seasons you'll ever hear about. But that's what we're here for. We're the fantasy we're the fantasy guys. We play in all these different leagues. Keep track of these guys. So we were aware of Jaden Nixon, and obviously UCF was too, because they're like, hey, we're losing RJ Harvey. We need you to come in and take his place, basically. And he has a similar skill set to RJ. Not quite as good. RJ is going to be a second, third round running back in the NFL draft. So, do you have any thoughts on Jaden Nixon coming over?
Well, smaller school. I think I see a little West Virginia or not Western Michigan play a little bit because as some of us do, we play those DFS and you watch some of these games that you unexpectedly don't watch, and right. and it's very possible I've seen a little bit of Nixon play a little bit, and for some of these smaller schools, it's good to kind of get some of that attention and whatnot, and maybe going to the next level. Is UCF going to still be that powerhouse? Where running back and bust through, be that kind of fill what Harvey's role is going to be since he's gone, and that's going to be our next thing we're going to have to answer here going forward here. And I don't know if there's anybody else in that backfield as well, but it's possible we can see a two-headed monster possibly, but we'll have to see who shines from that squad.
Yeah, and his strength is definitely his touchdowns, Jaden Nixon. So we'll see if he can kind of carry that over to UCF. Step up in competition, Jay. UCF Big 12 team, so a little step up there, but.
Yeah,
even a committee. I think a committee he'd have good value. Danny Dixon. you beat me to it before I can hit send.
Yeah, there's a question out there that I'm gonna pop up when
right.
we get to when we
What we
get
got?
to this
What we
guy
got?
here. So
We got.
all right. So since are you onto your you got your top
I got
5
one
now?
more. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. If you want me
All
to
right.
bang.
Nope, not yet.
Nope.
We won't
Okay.
spoil it yet.
Okay.
So here's I'm gonna do my top 10 here. We're gonna go a little backwards because I want to save the best for last here. So, but yes, I got number 10 here. We got another FCS guy going to the FBS. I've got Angel Johnson, who is an
Ooh,
SU's
Washington
guy
State.
going to Washington State. Yeah, I mean he put up I mean almost 1,000 some odd yards, but had 91 for 646 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, I would put some fantasy points in here, but I mean, we're not covering the D1 side, which kind of sucks. And I was thinking about maybe trying to, kind of do some of that, but I'm like, that's way too difficult. So I'm like, screw it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a unknown what he might, what he might put out there. But I mean, he was an RB2 at D1 level, and going to Washington State is not a bad landing spot because Mateer is gone. Who is going to take up all, Mateer is gone. So he's not, going to snipe away all those rushing touchdowns. So this could be a good landing spot for a guy like him.
Yeah. I had a damn good year at South Dakota State. Washington State. I think he followed everybody over there. Didn't Washington State didn't they hire the coach and they bring a bunch of players over in the portal
I think there was one other SDS guy that went over to Washington too.
Yeah, and that's the best thing you can do. You're Washington State, you're trying to be part of the revival of the Pac-12. You're trying to kind of make up for the fact you lost John Mateer. Kyle Williams, who was a good receiver they had, he's entering the NFL draft. So losing a couple big hitters there. So Angel Johnson will help for sure.
Yeah. My other guy here is Jalen Glover. Transfer. I mean, I've seen him play a little bit. I think he was special teams, I would believe. He did get a little bit in the run game, a little bit at a few carries here and there. And but he's transferring to UNLV, so there's a good opportunity for him to actually, probably get some more playing time, unless he's be more of their special teams kind of side. But I mean, it's a possibility for him to actually see some carries. I mean, he had 6 fantasy points, but I mean, he had 12 carries, 60 some odd yards. So the little plus 20 is how many carries they had over 20 plus yards, just so that no one's confused with that statistic down there. So they're like, oh, what's that plus 6 mean or plus 5 mean? So that's what those are.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to help out. They were very reliant last year on Hodge Malik Williams and Ricky White. Obviously, Ricky White's going to the NFL, so kind of need to restock the cupboard. The running game was weak, other than the quarterback. So, I think Jalen Glover is going to help.
Yep. And then we got Mr. Chris Johnson, Jr.
Ooh, is this the Chris Johnson son? CJ 2000.
Yes, it is. It is. I was like,
oh hell yeah.
Like, so I actually had to do a little dig at myself. I'm like, what? Chris Johnson Jr. I'm like, this can't be. And I'm like, oh, I'll be dipped. So I'm like, dude, I'm like, there's no way. I mean, to think about a Miami team that was just crowded with talent, where you might be lucky enough to maybe even get the ball or whatever. But I mean, he had 30 some odd 30 odd fantasy points. 358th best of all. 6 carries, 31 yards. That was he had a couple receiving touchdowns in there, so I didn't put those in there. These are just more of the the rushing side. But he's transferring to MSU, where Bradshard Smith is going to the draft, which leaves open some possibilities of him to actually see some carries down there.
Yeah, no, I think he should have just been patient. Damian Martinez left. But then again, at SMU, it's a similar situation for Brashard Smith entering the NFL draft as well. So it kind of opens up some rooms. And the question comes down to, would you rather play with Kevin Jennings or would you rather play with Carson Beck? And obviously he wanted to play with Jennings with SMU. Not only did SMU knock them out of basically take their playoff spot last year, they took their running back too. They took CJ 2000's kid. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he's going to do there. If it's going to be a committee, be interesting to see what where he'd be a guy that would be a waiver he'd be a waiver guy and just to wait, see what he
Yeah,
does.
I think we'll have to kind of see and wait, kind of maybe some springtime and kind of see unfold. But I mean, if this guy gets the carries right away, I mean, yeah, I'll if especially depending on bench size, I mean, this would be a guy you probably just put a little star next to and just kind of wait and see what he does and kind of look at the stats from a game to game and kind of see if he's really picking up the pace or if it's kind of a two-headed monster in that kind of aspect. But I mean, with MSU, with the quarterback changing and whatnot, I think this might be a good opportunity for him to kind of open the books finally for his spotlight.
Yes.
Number 7 here, I got Dante Downwell. Don't tell.
Dante
Yeah,
Dowdle, and you got. and I think you've been waiting. I think you've been waiting for this one all night. You've been decked out in Nebraska red. Go
damn
Black
right.
Shirt. Yeah. Bubba, if Bubs is still watching, he'll love that.
Yes.
Dante, I had him too. He's coming up on my final list too. Dante Dowdle is definitely a huge pick.
Yes. Dante, so he had 143 fantasy points, 111th overall, 11th best. 265 carries. No, wait, that's not right. Where's my notes at here? He had I think he had 143 carries.
Yeah,
not 265.
Sounds more accurate.
I was gonna fix that.
I'm like, he only averaged like 2.5 yards a carry.
Yeah, that part was my bad. I was gonna change that too. I'm like, that's not right. But yeah, 614 yards. He had 12 touchdowns, which is nuts. I'm like, holy moly! And he only had 2 carries over 20 plus yards. But I think with him going to Kentucky, maybe he can be the next Ray Davis 2.0. We know Kentucky is the place for running back heaven, where we just glorify ourselves in a bunch of just Ray Davis all over the place. But I think this is going to be a nice landing spot for him. And they need a power running back like him.
Yeah. You know what? I'll go with someone. I'm gonna blow my load a little bit early. He's got good size. Like, he's got all the tools. I don't know what the hell happened with Nebraska's offense the second half of last year. He started off pretty good, but Raiola kind of shit the bed. He wasn't as advertised. He's going to need a little work. I mean, it's not going to write him off completely, but Dowdle, he was kind of a one-man show. He put and the touchdowns are great. I mean, if he can carry that over to Kentucky, who's they've had Trainum, I think, was one of the running backs from last year. Before that, obviously Ray Davis. Ray Davis was, we saw him in the playoffs tearing it up with the Bills. So Kentucky's, they've been a good running back spot the last few years for sure. And I think Dante Dowdle, his stats are going to go up. That's why we have him number 7 here on Jay's list, is because Dowdle's stats are going to go up. He's got 6'2", 225. He's a big kid, big, strong, fast kid. And I thought, he's only a junior. Jay, he's only going to his junior year. So you're going to get Kentucky could get, if they could hold on to him, they can realistically keep him for 2 years. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I like it. And before we get too far here now, Daniel Dixon, I noticed Virginia Tech also picked up Sheldon from Tennessee, which I was going to mention here. And they had Terrion Stewart from Bowling Green. It's like, who do you think will be the lead back? And that's, I've seen some Bowling Green. I mean, I like Terrion Stewart. I mean, he's kind of a bigger
Stewart too.
He's a bigger, juicy kind of. He's a kind of a juicier kind of running back. He's kind of big and bulky. He's the guy that will pretty much train wreck you, dude. I mean, he's that train you don't want to be in front of, man. He's a nice, big, hefty guy. He's got some speed to him.
So Virginia Tech, they're just gonna rush the ball like 90 times a game. I'm convinced now. They're just gonna stab you in the face and keep coming at you. So like 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Like they're gonna come at you. And definitely Terrion Stewart there ties in with Danny D's question there. I love me some Terrion Stewart. I mean, I used him a couple weeks in fantasy last year for sure. Picked him up. Jay likes him. Jay put him at number 6 here.
Yeah. There was one DFS game where I actually had him, and and he was kind of in and out. And all I needed was the touchdown for my parlay to hit. And I believe you remember that too. I'm like, God damn it. But 129 fantasy points, so he was 129th best overall in the college fantasy world. 166 carries, 100 almost, a little bit shy of 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 6 plus 20 yards rushing. Over 20 yards rushing. So I mean, he's got some speed to him. He can break 1-2 as well. The Cameron Sheldon guy too. I want to mention that was from Tennessee. I was like, I'm like, oh shit, and I didn't know you were going to bring up another guy from Virginia Tech.
Yeah, they don't stop coming.
So I'm like, holy crap, dude.
Right. Well, Sheldon was behind. I mean, Dylan Sampson is a legit NFL running back. He was one of the best running backs in the country last year. So, obviously we didn't hear much about Sheldon, but it'd be interesting to see. There's just I didn't mention him because there's so much depth at Virginia Tech. He's got to jump 2 guys that are proven fantasy running backs there that have proven that they could be feature backs with their respective teams, and so I don't know. I think he's probably going to be buried on the depth chart, I would assume.
Yeah. Let's see, what was I going to say? Yep. So he had 23 carries, 118 yards, 1 touchdown. So I mean, just a little small sample size from Sheldon a little bit, but I think Stewart will. Stewart could be the front runner at there, and the other guy you mentioned, Bennett. So those 2 guys will probably be going head to head, and maybe a little sprinkling of Sheldon. It's hard saying, but I think Stewart will be that guy. But I'll save my 5 for last, and we'll bring up Eli's top 5 guys to watch.
All right. So I put the free agents back up. If anybody wanted to see those again, but these are the main dogs. These are the dogs. These are the main dogs here. Number 1, yeah. So this is FBS to FBS. This is like black on black crime here. This is No, I'm not. No, don't go there with that. No, stop. Number 1, I put Mekhi Hughes. Because why the hell not? I mean, just absolute.
You're a thief.
Yeah.
Even all my guys.
I took him right from you. Here you go. Jay. How's my ass taste? Took him right out of your palms. Tulane last year. Just run over his stats again, because why the hell not? 1,300 rushing yards, 15 rushing touchdowns, almost 200 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. And that's with Tulane. Imagine what he's going to do in that Jordan James role, or kind of the Bucky role from a couple years ago. It's going to be lights out. Mekhi Hughes right now, he's rated as the number 2 running back in the 2026 NFL draft class. So I think 1 year at Oregon is going to put him over the top. Still a junior. If he wanted to, as much money as Oregon has, they could pay him for 2 years. You know what I mean? He could come back for a senior year. So you 2 years of Mekhi Hughes. You know what I mean? Like you could. There's no excuse with the amount of money and talent Oregon has that they can't win a national championship with this guy, and that as a fantasy owner that we can't win a fantasy championship with this guy. This guy with Tulane. I'm sorry they got rated. They lost their quarterback. They lost their tight end. They lost their running back. They probably lost some receivers I'm not thinking about. Like Tulane just got rated. So just a bad offseason for them. But Mekhi Hughes at 1. Ahmad Hardy. Ahmad Hardy, number 2. He was at Louisiana Monroe last year. This guy, Missouri got a hell of a deal. You got to hold on to this guy. You got to back up the Brinks truck, back up that NIL, that good NIL money, back it up to him. Ahmad Hardy here. Freshman year, over 1,300 rushing yards, 13 touchdowns. Didn't do much in the receiving game. He's got to work on that a little bit. I would say he needs to crispen that up, and maybe Missouri will work on his pass catching abilities. Didn't do much of that with the Warhawks, but I love Ahmad Hardy. I put him at 2 because I think and Missouri's been cranking. Cody Schrader last year. Is it Nate Noel? I'm trying to think of the other back they had. So they've had some pretty decent backs. Ahmad Hardy's the next in line. He's only going to be a sophomore. Like, what's not the if Mekhi Hughes wasn't there, I'd put Hardy at 1. But Mekhi Hughes is just too damn good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree on that one. Hardy to Missouri. I mean, just I don't know. After after they had Schrader, I mean,
In
they really
Dynasty,
didn't.
in Dynasty though, I mean, you're gonna get minimum 2 years, maybe 3 out of it. I mean, Missouri. I mean, they're an SEC school, but if he pops enough, maybe like a bigger shark would come in. Like an LSU or an Ohio State or something. But I mean, Missouri. I mean, this could be their meal ticket.
I mean, we didn't really see a whole lot because they had Marcus Carroll from Georgia.
Yeah, Marcus
Georgia
Carroll. That's the
State.
other guy I was thinking of.
And he tore it up down there, and I was like, "Ooh, okay, well, maybe this kid will come in and actually, have 800 and 900 some odd yards." And really didn't see a whole lot of that from Carroll this year. So I'm like, I don't know what happened to him, but so I'm like, am I Harvey to Missouri? I'm like, okay, that might be pushing it, but we'll have to see.
Well, we agree. We agree to disagree sometimes. We'll see what happens. Number 3, I put CJ Campbell, who was at Florida Atlantic last year. What I like about CJ is he's a dual threat. Okay, he had 844 rushing yards, 11 rushing touchdowns. That's solid, solid. But when you throw in the receiving stats, you're like, damn, okay, this kid's got something. 40 receptions, Jay. 466 yards, 3 touchdowns. So that's basically, over 1,300 all scrimmage yards, 14, total touchdowns. That's solid, man. Especially at a school like Florida Atlantic, like Campbell's gonna have a good chance to come in day one and be the feature guy with Rutgers. Especially, how the hell? I don't even know how the hell to pronounce his name. I know he put up a bunch of stats. Is it Monongai? Kyle Monongai? Was he the Rutgers back from last year? I mean, he had a damn good year.
Yep.
I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on CJ Campbell going over to Rutgers?
I guess I'll just put he's just a possible replacement to Mungai, and he tore it up. He had a decent season down there, and I don't believe. I mean, I think Mungai was their only kind of offense going, and they didn't really have a whole lot down there, especially in the offense or the wide receivers spot of that as well. So I mean,
who the hell else is at Rutgers? Like
not a whole lot.
Giano, the failed NFL coach. Like who the hell else is over at Rutgers? They could use a guy like CJ. Number 4, Rasul Faison, who a lot of teams wanted. I totally get it. He was at Utah State last year, had over 1,100 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns, caught 22 passes as well. South Carolina, they needed a replacement for Raheem Sanders. I don't know if he's going to be as good as Raheem Sanders was, but Faison will fill in that role and should be the feature guy. And then number 5, your guy, Jay just mentioned, Dante Dowdle. I'll say it again. 12 rushing touchdowns. He's 6'2", 225. Good size. Possible NFL running back. I forget where he's at in the 2026 class, but Dante Dowdle definitely has some NFL prospects ahead of him. Going to Kentucky was a great move. They've had some really good backs there the last few years that have put up good fantasy stats as well. So I like the Dowdle move. And yeah, and I think the one guy that would be like an honorable mention, and he didn't get a lot of love last year because he played at South Alabama, but Fluff Bothwell. Fluff is, he had some good stats at South Alabama, and I forget. Let's see here. Where was this? Where was this at? Where in the world was this? Oh, Mississippi State. Oh, Mississippi State. How the hell did he end up there? I guess he just wanted to go. South Alabama's probably right. Mobile, I think is where it's at. So it's not that far over to Starkville, Mississippi. But yeah, I think that was a nice addition. Nice kind of under the radar addition for Mississippi State. I'm not sure how long if Fluff, if he pops this year, because I think he's still an underclassman. I think if he pops this year, he's probably going to end up at a bigger, an even bigger school, for his final year. But I don't know. Any additional guys you thought of, Jay? Any honorable mention kind of guys, or?
Oh, yep. I have one more slide here, quick. So.
Oh, ooh.
Yep.
Give it to me, big boy.
Oh, I will. Will do. Before Pageant going into his year 7, but he's going to be a doctor stud. I mean, I love me some Fagion. So I mean, it's pretty close.
Rasul.
I got but I have a couple of different names than what Eli has there. I mean, I got the number 5. I got Eli Sanders, who was a Loeb last year. 147 carries, 1,000 yards, 9 touchdown, 8 plus 20 yards in that for yards per over 100 or not. God, now I can't even talk either, bro. 8 plus
Tag me in.
over 20 yards. Yeah, no, we're good. We're good. 193. So he was 57 or 51st best, when it came to fit college fantasy football. But yeah, I mean the Lobes they were just putting out, they're just cranking out those 1,000 yards backs. I mean Merritt was one of them who went to Arizona. Now he's gonna go over to USC where they're losing Miller. But
Woody Marks is probably the biggest loss for USC. But we'll see about Sanders. I think he's a better suited as a committee guy in a school like USC. But we'll see if he can handle the or compete for the feature role.
Yeah, for sure. And then we got Tawny Walker. I mean, 47th best overall, 190 carries, 864 yards, 10 touchdowns, and he had 3 carries over 20 some odd yards. And he's going from Wisconsin to the Bearcats, where the Bearcats he has he's replacing Corey Kidner. So I think this is a good opportunity for him. I think he should have went to maybe a different school. I think Tawny Walker.
Yeah, there's kind of a ladder. It's kind of a backwards move, lateral move. Why wouldn't you just stay at Wisconsin?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he could have gone to somewhere else. Where I mean, maybe he could have gone to Oregon. I think he probably could have fit. Be kind of that a little bit more of a bigger back or whatever. But I mean, it all depends. I guess he kind of wanted to stay close to home, possibly. I guess I mean Cincinnati, I guess, but. I don't know. The Bearcats don't really offer too much. It's kind of like McCord going from, Ohio State to, Syracuse, so it's kind of like one of those things. But I think he's going to offer a little something there. I think he'll offer them a nicer run game. So, I mean, for me, we mentioned Tawny Walker in our waivers last year. So he's the guy you might want to take a look at, write your name down on him and whatnot. So I think he's be a nice prospect for. I don't know if he will draft him, but we will be doing a live too early mock draft to be 15 some odd rounds. So if you guys are watching this now or later, come by Saturday. We'll have a live stream set up for that. But Saturday we are actually going to be doing a actual 15 round early mock draft. So we'll see if we take a Tawny Walker or Eli Sanders or whoever it might be.
You're gonna see a lot of these names. Yeah, you're gonna see a lot of these names again, and just be interested to see where they fall and how other guys feel about them. So that'll be a lot of fun. Be on Saturday if you want to tune back into that.
Yeah. Pretty much Eli had the same guys, CJ Campbell, Rajil Pashan, and Malachi Hughes for my number 1 guy. I mean, I've been a very huge fan of Malachi Hughes, even when he was a freshman. I've been watching Tulane the last couple of years, and back to back, 1,500 some odd yards, So I'm kind of curious to see what he's going to put up with the Ducks this year. But 14th best overall in fantasy, 265 carries, 1,400 some odd yards, 15 touchdowns, and he's had 5 carries over 20 some odd yards, which is a very, very nice way to kind of look at that for explosion wise, so you can kind of see Fagion going to the Gamecocks. I kind of like it though. I mean, they don't really have anybody else out there after Sanders is left. I mean, this guy is explosive. He can cut through the line pretty damn quick, and so I like his game,
Smart.
which is I
mentioned that too.
Yes, he's very well. So I mean, if you go watch his film, I mean, I like it. I mean, that's why we mentioned him, before the end of the year. That's why I brought this kid up, because I mean, he was tearing it up. I liked what he had going on down there. So I'm like. But I think he should be the clear RB1 down there, and Sanders is off to the NFL. Malachi Hughes, I think he might, is possible Jordan James replacement. So I think that's, I think something we can think about, because I already seen, one mock draft where Malachi Hughes was rated the first running back off the board, first guy off the board right away. So I was just gonna say a quick on CJ Campbell. Yeah, pretty much we kind of mentioned him. He's probably gonna be the Mungai replacement. So 19th best overall, 259 fantasy points. Rutgers is just another spot for him to just kind of tear things up. I mean, a little bit smaller guy, but I mean, quick, nimble. I watched some some Owls. I kind of watched some of them just to see who, just because they had our favorite guy down there. But yeah.
Yep. No, it's a nice list here, and this is all kind of leading to the mock draft we're doing on Saturday, 15 round, like Jay said. A lot of these guys, we'll recap here. Jay had his graphics as well. He might recap his top 10, but I'll recap just some of the free agents here. I think Humphrey from Montana State, he's still out there. Could be a feature, especially for a place like Liberty, like a G5 school. Harden, kind of a receiving, committee running back there. Palmer Smith from Richmond, he's pretty good too. I could see a Liberty level school picking him up and starting him right away. Some of the impact FCS guys jumping up. Jamar Taylor, he stands out the most to me. I think he's going to be the feature guy with Virginia right away. Bankston with New Mexico. We saw the stats, Eli Sanders put up last year. So we'll see what Bankston can do. Maybe taking that rollover. Some of the notable names. Mahdi, the Texas State kid that came over to Arizona. He should have a solid year. Bennett, that's because he's working against so much competition there. I might have overvalued Bennett. I liked him a lot at Coastal Carolina. I think maybe a little too much. Donaldson from Ohio State could be a touchdown machine. So watch for him in the 15 round draft. It'll be interesting to see if if Donaldson ends up on there, because I think he's a nice addition there. Big bruiser for Ohio State. Jaden Nixon as well. Jaden Nixon kind of taking over the RJ Harvey role. And then finally, Malachi Hughes. We've been talking about him. Dante Dowdle, phasing. We've been talking about these guys all night. We both like CJ Campbell, coming over from Florida Atlantic. And then some might say polarizing Ahmad Hardy. Hardy har. I like me some Hardy. Jay not so much. He thinks these Missouri backs are a dime a dozen, which they might be. I mean, but that's the fun part about it. Had a great freshman year and at Louisiana Monroe, and we'll see what he can do. Go Warhawks.
Yeah, I was gonna look up Carroll's his stats quick, because I didn't think they really stand it out, because I was gonna look them up quick.
Let's see. Yeah, Nate. Let's see. Yeah, you look him up. I'll look up Nate Noel.
Yeah, 140 fantasy points. I mean, he really didn't have a great year.
They pretty much had equal numbers, Jay, if you think about it. Like Noel had probably similar fantasy stats. He had 818 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, had like 15 receptions. So, I mean, it was like 50-50. I mean, neither of them stood out, and hence why they brought in Hardy. So, but it was definitely a drop off from Cody Schrader from a couple of years ago for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, the year before when he was down at Georgia State, he had 200 had a 200 game rushing, at least 4 or 5 100 some odd yards games, but he had 8, 9, 10, probably at least almost double digit touchdowns the year before. So I mean, he pretty much went from having almost double-digit touchdowns to like 5.
Yeah.
No, well, actually, there was one game he had 3.
I tend to think I guess I tend to overvalue their system. I just think if you're a Missouri back, you're going to put up numbers. And we were proven. I mean, because if this had been a feature guy, Jay, instead of a 2-headed monster, maybe one of these guys or another guy that had more talent, maybe he would have had a 1,300-yard rushing year or something. I mean, we'll have to wait and see, but because maybe they didn't feel comfortable with either of these guys. But I just remember Cody Schrader, and I forget the guy before. I forget the guy before Cody Schrader, but he had a monster season as well. Name slipping me, but
for sure. Before we get up out of here, I'll name off my top 10 here quick, and then we'll get up out of here. So I had Angel number 10 from South Dakota to Washington State, Jalen Glover from Utah to UNLV, Chris Johnson Jr. from Miami to MSU.
Sorry, Jay. Tyler Batty. Tyler Batty was the Missouri, and then it was Cody Schrader. Yep, sorry about that.
Yeah, the guy who's
Jared. Jared's back. He went. Laporta's the coach.
And then we had Dante Donwell. Dowdle. Pretty much from Nebraska to Kentucky. And we had Terrence Stewart from Bowling Green to Virginia Tech there at 6. And then we Eli Sanders at number 5 from Lobes to USC. Tony Walker from Wisconsin to Cincinnati. And then we have TJ Campbell from the Owls to the Rutgers. And then we had Rajan Fashion from Utah State to the Gamecocks. And then Malachi Hughes, my number 1 guy, from Tulane to the Ducks.
Yeah. No, I love you guys getting to watch the USA Canada game. Ooh. Is that hockey?
Yeah, they did a so what they did, instead of having like an all-star like weekend, they had like an all-star like country thing or whatever. Like there was Canada and a couple other countries, so it was kind of like all the hockey countries kind of got together. So they kind of put something like that on.
Jared, is Canada still up 1-0?
All right. Well,
I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never know.
Give the tagline, Jay.
But yeah, we appreciate everybody watching, and if you can, please give us a Spotify, Apple a subscribe. We greatly appreciate that. If you're on the YouTube, if you're watching right now, please just hit that subscribe button for us. Maybe give us a like too. That'd be greatly appreciated. Our Discord link and Instagram is down in the description below too. And if you want to follow us on the good old the Bird X, we'll just call it the Bird X. Follow me at Already Fan and Eli at Eli Appletoft. This is his main handle over there for the X. But yeah, we're gonna put up a live stream, get that set up for Saturday. We're gonna do a 15-round, 2 early college mock draft. So some of these guys are probably in here. I'm going to be kind of curious to see where a couple of my favorite guys go to as well. But we're going to continue to bring you guys college spotlights, and we're going to bring you guys a break, transfer portal with QBs, not running backs, wide receivers, and the tight ends too as well. So we'll break those down too as well for you. And then we'll add in our little mock draft too with some of these too, and our thoughts as well too. So
yeah, a lot of good stuff coming up from us. We got a few more skill positions. 1-1 tied up. Ooh. We got a few more skill positions to hit for sure. Maybe tight ends, maybe quarterbacks next. We'll see. That'll be a little ways away, and then more of the college spotlights. They're coming. They're coming down the pipeline. We're filling up the tab there.
We have one guy that will be posted here Saturday too as well. So I'm not gonna say who, but this is where you have
he catches passes. He catches passes.
And I mean, he's a guy we mentioned during the stream that he might be a replacement of. So you might have to just like and subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell for notification when it does upload. So other than that, we have another spotlight in the works too as well. So we're going to pump out as many spotlights as we can before the draft, and we'll probably do some mock drafts too as well. So who knows? So we got lots in the works.
Yes. Yep. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you find this down the line, it could be helpful. Share it. Sharing is caring.
Hey, it sure is. Sharing is caring, as LA Knight would say.
Yeah.
But other than that, everybody, we're gonna get up out of here. Other than that, stay get in tune with us Saturday. Join the live chat. You know, if you're something that you guys want to ask, or even some other guys, hopefully we'll have some more people in the college realm of experts. You know, hopefully they're joining us too as well. But other than that, I think we're gonna get up out of here for the night, and we hope everybody has a great Thursday night whenever you come across this. Other than that, I think we're gonna get up out of here. Oh, we got one more comment. As Jared would say, sharing is a caring.
Hell yeah.
All right, guys. We'll catch you guys on the next live stream. We'll catch you guys on the next college spotlight, and we're gonna get ourselves up out of here. So I'm Jamie. That's Eli. We're out of rhythm. We'll catch you guys on the next one later.